Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, I stand before you today not to tickle ears or deliver sweet poetry. I come to sound the trumpet to wake the hearts of those who are weary and to stir the spirits of those who are afraid. Because the truth is simple, there comes a time in every life when we must decide, do we back down or do we rise up? We live in an age of shaking foundations. The winds of doubt are howling. The storms of struggle rage across our lives. Sickness, failure, heartbreak, betrayal. The world tells you to quit. The enemy whispers, you can't make it. But I've come to declare with all the fire in my soul, never back down. When fear grips your heart, don't back down. When friends abandon you, don't back down. When life throws you in the fire, don't back down, back down. Because the fire doesn't destroy the one who walks with truth, it refines them. There is a greater power at work in you than the one that stands against you. You were not created to quit, you were not built for surrender. You were made to stand firm, clothed in righteousness, armored with courage and carried by grace. I know some of you are tired. Some of you have been knocked down so many times, you're starting to wonder if rising is even worth it. But hear me, falling is not failure, quitting is. If you've got breath in your lungs, then your story isn't finished. Hold the line, stay the course, because when you don't back down, heaven stands with you. And when heaven stands with you, no power on earth or hell can take you down. This world doesn't need more comfort seekers. It needs warriors of light. It needs men and women who will stand when it's easier to run, who will speak truth when it's easier to stay silent, who will love when it's easier to hate. So lift your head, straighten your spine, and fix your eyes on the calling set before you. Whether you walk through fire or through flood, you are not alone. Whether the path is easy or cruel, never back down, because the crown doesn't come to those who start strong, it comes to those who finish faithful. There is a voice inside each of us that trembles when the shadows lengthen and the unknown looms large. A voice that says, oh, what if I fail? What if I fall? What if I lose everything? And yet even louder still is the whisper that comes not from within but from above. A whisper that says, oh, fear not, for I am with you. And in that moment we discover that faith is not the absence of fear, but the refusal to bow before it, you see. Fear builds its throne on the uncertainties of tomorrow. It feeds on the doubts of the past and it thrives in the silence of hesitation. But faith looks straight into the storm and walks forward anyway. Not because it is blind, but because it sees something deeper, something eternal, something stronger than any trembling hand or anxious heart. Faith is the fire that moves through the coldest night, the anchor when the winds scream loud. For instance, the voice that says, I keep going, and when everything in you says, I turn back, and it doesn't wait for the path to be clear because faith doesn't need sight to believe. It only needs the promise that even when you walk through the valley, you are not walking alone, so when the weight presses heavy and the world demands your surrender, when the voices mock your hope and circumstances tower like giants before you, that is the very moment to plant your feet and raise your eyes and speak not from fear but from faith. But from faith. Declare not what you see but what you believe, to trust not in the visible but in the invisible strength that never fails. Yes, and there will be tears, yes, and there will be tears when fear feels closer than your breath in. But faith is not about pretending the fear isn't there. It is about refusing to be ruled by it. It is about standing firm even when your knees shake. Because what holds you up is not your strength, but the hand of the one who never lets go. Faith over fear means choosing to believe when you have every reason to doubt. It means stepping into the unknown because the one who called you is already there. It means lifting your voice in praise when your heart is breaking and taking one more step when you don't know a step, when you don't know if you can take another. In those moments, something miraculous happens. Fear loses its grip and heaven draws near. It is in the fire that faith is forged, in the crushing that courage is born, in the silence that the voice of God becomes clearest. And those who live by faith are not those who never feel afraid, but those who never let fear make the final decision. Because when faith speaks, mountains move, and when faith stands, fear trembles. So today, right now, no matter what you face or what you've lost or how loud the lies may scream, choose faith over fear again and again, moment by moment, breath by breath, for there is no chain it cannot break, no night it cannot light, no storm it cannot still. And even now, faith is rising within you like a flame that cannot be quenched. There are moments in this life when the ground beneath you shakes and everything you thought was certain begins to slip through your fingers like dust in the wind. Moments when prayers feel unanswered and the night stretches longer than the day ever dared to. Moments when the weight of grief or failure or betrayal tries to break you from the inside out. But in those very moments, you are not called to run, not called to retreat. not called to compromise, but to stand firm, to plant your feet into… to dig deep into the foundation that cannot be moved. Standing firm in trials is not a posture of pride or defiance in your own strength. It is the stance of someone who knows that, though the winds howl and the waves crash, they are held by a strength greater than the storm. A peace that passes understanding, a grace that does not fade when life gets hard but shines all the brighter when everything else goes dark. It is easy to stand when the sun is shining and the crowd is cheering, but true strength is proven in the furnace. True character is revealed in the crushing. True faith is forged in the days when nothing makes sense, and yet you still hold on. Not because you understand, but because you believe, not because you feel strong, but because you know the one who is there. Will be times when your knees buckle and your hands tremble and your voice breaks under the pressure of it all. But hear me, standing firm does not mean you never struggle. It means you do not give in. You do not give in, it means you do not bow to the light. It means you do not let the storm change your direction or the trial steal your identity. You may be in the fire, but you are not consumed. You may be in the valley, but you are not alone. You may be under attack, but you are not defeated. Because standing firm is not about what's coming against you. It's about who is standing with you. And when the Lord is your defender, when truth is your foundation, when love is your weapon, no enemy can overcome you. There is a reward for those who endure, a crown for those who do not, a victory for those who refuse to compromise their soul for temporary relief. And even when your strength runs out, His strength is made perfect in your weakness, and in that mystery is your power, to stand not in your own might, but in the assurance that the God who brought you to this moment will carry you through it. So stand when they mock you, stand when they misunderstand you, stand when they walk away, stand when you are tired, stand when you are tired, stand when you are uncertain, because each time you truth in love, in faith you shake the gates of hell and remind the darkness that it has already lost. And if today you find yourself in the middle of the trial, in the eye of the storm, in the place where everything in you wants to run, let this be your battle cry. Might by might, but by His Spirit I will stand, I will endure, I will not be moved, because my hope is not built on comfort, but on the rock that never fails. Having a moral backbone means holding fast to what is right, even when the world around you bends and twists like a storm that tries to tear down every pillar of truth. It means standing up when others choose to sit down, speaking out when silence is easier, and walking a path of integrity, even if it leads you through the valley of opposition and rejection. Because without this backbone, we become like reeds in the wind, tossed to and fro by every passing trend or temptation. It is not always the popular choice to do what is right, and often the cost is high. A lost friendship, a broken relationship, a moment of loneliness. But the price of compromising your convictions is far greater. For when you lose your moral compass, you lose yourself. And no amount of fleeting applause or empty acceptance can fill the void left by a soul that has sold out its truth. A moral backbone is forged in the fires of testing, when your character is refined, not by comfort but by challenge. And the voice that urges you to give in, to lower your standards, to justify the wrong, is met with the voice of courage that says, Anu, I will not be shaken, I will not bow, I will not break this backbone. Does not mean being harsh or unyielding without love, but rather being anchored in justice, kindness, and humility even when the tide of culture rushes against you. For true strength is not rigid cruelty, but flexible courage rooted in grace. The courage to say yes to what is right and no to what destroys, regardless of the cost when temptation whispers in your ear. And the way forward seems easier. If you just let go of your principles, it is your moral backbone that keeps you standing firm, reminding you that integrity is the foundation upon which lasting success is built, and that a life without honor is like a house built on sand, destined to collapse when the storms come. So, hold fast to your convictions with gentle strength, knowing that you are never alone in this fight, that the one who created you also empowers you to live a life of truth and courage, and that every choice you make for righteousness is a step toward a legacy that will outlast the fleeting moments of approval from the world. Do not be afraid to be the one who stands when everyone else is falling, to be the voice that speaks when silence seems safer. For in that courage you will inspire others to find their own moral backbone, and together you will build a community of strength, a fortress of truth that cannot be overcome. And when the road is long and weary, when the nights are dark and the battles relentless, remember this: a life lived with a moral backbone is a life that shines in the darkness, a beacon of hope and courage, a testament to the power of standing firm in what is right, no matter the cost. Purpose-driven resolve is the fire that burns deep within the heart a steady flame that refuses to flicker out even when the winds of doubt and distraction blow fiercely. It is the unwavering commit to a calling greater than comfort, a mission that gives every struggle meaning and every setback a lesson. Because when your eyes are fixed on the purpose set before you, no obstacle is too great and no sacrifice too costly. This resolve does not come from fleeting motivation or shallow desires, but from a deep knowing that you were created for something more than ordinary, that your life carries a weight and a value that transcends the immediate. And it is this understanding that steels your spirit to keep moving forward. When the path is unclear, the journey long, purpose-driven resolve means waking up each day with a clarity that says, I will not be moved, not because you are perfect or never weary, but because your why is so compelling that it refuses to let you quit, it demands your best even when your energy is low. It calls you to rise above distractions and distractions, to stay the course when others stray. It is easy to get lost in the noise of the world, to become distracted by things that seem urgent, but are not important. But resolve rooted in purpose is a compass that guides you through the chaos, reminding you of your destination and pushing you to say no to anything that does not align with the mission you were born to fulfill. Every trial, every setback, every disappointment becomes a stepping stone rather than a stumbling block. Because with purpose-driven resolve, failure is never final, it is merely feedback, a lesson that sharpens your focus and strengthens your determination to press on, to fight harder, and to never lose sight of the prize. This resolve is not stubbornness or blind will, but a disciplined strength born from faith, hope and clarity of vision, a power that rises each time you are knocked down, a voice within that whispers, I keep going, this is why you are made. This is what you were called to do. When you live with purpose-driven resolve, you become unstoppable, not because the world changes, but because you do. You learn to persevere through pain and to celebrate progress in the smallest victories, and your passion becomes contagious, inspiring others to find their own purpose and fight their own battles with courage. So stand firm today in the resolve that your life matters, that your calling is real. And let that purpose drive you forward with relentless determination. Because a life without purpose may wander, but a life with purpose-driven resolve will conquer mountains and change the world. Victory through perseverance is not won in a moment of ease or comfort, but forged in the relentless struggle against every obstacle that threatens to stop you. It is the quiet courage to keep walking when the path is steep and the nights are long, the steadfast refusal to give in when the world says, enough. Because true victory is the reward of those who endure to the end. Perseverance is the grit in your soul that says, I will try one more time, even when your body aches and your spirit trembles. It is the strength that rises after every fall. Fall, the fire that burns brighter with every challenge, reminding you that failure is not the opposite of victory, but a part of the journey toward it. When the storms rage and the voices of doubt grow louder, perseverance anchors you to hope. It keeps your eyes fixed on the promise beyond the present pain high, and it whispers, hold on, keep going. Even when the finish line seems miles away and your steps grow heavy, it is in the moments when giving up feels like the easiest choice that perseverance becomes a powerful testimony of your character. Because those who do not quit reveal a strength greater than circumstance, a faith deeper than fear, and a heart committed to the race set before them, no matter the cost. Victory through perseverance is not measured by speed or ease, but by the courage to face every setback with a spirit that refuses to be broken, by the willingness to stand again when you are weary, by the determination to rise above every trial and keep moving forward. Every challenge you endure, every barrier you break, every moment you push beyond your limits adds to the story of your triumph. And though the journey may be long and the battle's fierce, perseverance transforms the impossible into the inevitable and the hopeless into the victorious. Remember, the greatest victories in history were not won by those who never stumbled, but by those who refused to stay down, who pressed through the pain, who believed in the promise of the dawn, even in the darkest hours. And it is in that steadfastness that victory is born and lives. So today, no matter what you face or how hard the fight, let perseverance be your companion, your shield and your song, knowing that every step you take in faith and endurance brings you closer to a victory that will not only change your life, but inspire generations to come. Hope is never defeated because it is born not of circumstance, but of a promise that shines beyond the darkest night. It is the light that refuses to be extinguished, even when the world tries to snuff it out. Quiet assurance that no matter how fierce the storm, The dawn is coming, and with it new mercies that will lift the weary and strengthen the faint-hearted when all around seems lost. When the future looks uncertain and the past weighs heavy, hope stands as an unshakable anchor in the soul, holding fast to the truth that suffering is temporary and that beyond every trial lies a greater purpose waiting to be revealed. And it whispers softly, keep believing, keep trusting, keep pressing on hope as the breath that fills the lungs when despair threatens to steal the air. The courage that rises when fear says give up, and the quiet confidence that no matter how many times you fall, you can always rise again because hope knows the story is far from over and the best chapters have yet to be written. It is not a foolish optimism that ignores pain or denies hardship, for the steadfast certainty that even in brokenness, healing is possible, that even in loss, gain is on the horizon, and that even in death, life everlasting awaits, giving those who hold on the strength to face each day with boldness and joy. When hope lives in your heart, you refuse to be defined by failures or setbacks. You refuse to be silenced by disappointment or fear. Because hope is a force greater than circumstances, a power that lifts the lowly, restores the lost, and breathes new life into weary souls. With the promise that every tear will be wiped away, hope is a relentless companion that walks with you through valleys of shadow and climbs the highest mountains. It does not abandon you in the midnight hour or falter when the road grows rough. It carries you onward with the gentle reminder that the sun always rises, and with it comes new beginnings and endless possibilities. To lose hope is to lose the very thing that makes us human, the spark that keeps dreams alive and fuels the courage to try again. So no matter how hard the battle, how long the wait or how deep the pain, hold tightly to hope. For it is never defeated and it never fails, so rise today with a heart full of hope, a soul anchored in its power, and a spirit unyielding in its trust, knowing that through every trial and every tear, hope is the victory that cannot be stolen, the promise that will never fade and the light that forever leads us home.